Welcome back to a new video. So we are still putting in the work. So we are finishing with the first off season. We have made a couple of different trades and hopefully improved our pitching rotation. We are starting spring training, and so we're moving forward with that. But so far, I'm pretty happy with how the off season went. Obviously, very happy with how the first season went. Look at our spring training roster. We have a couple of guys that we can throw up there with us, and really not interested in worrying about anyone else. So we'll just um, power through this. And we have a bunch of guys that potentially that we signed. So Travis Bazania had an outstanding development for power in the lab. Same with Jonathan Rodriguez. Same with CJ Kafis. So no improvement. Chase Delauder got poor. Current drops by 10. So his potential power improved by 5. His current power. I like how it shows that. That didn't show last year. So that's kind of nice with the development lab. So current power rating improved by 5. So I think it shows with the next scouting report. Current power rating improves by less than 5. So um, you'll love to see that. So that's pretty cool. Kind of stinks for um, what's his face? Stinks for Chase Delauder, but good for everyone else, I suppose. We're also going to have Kyle Freeland back at some point. That trade was a big flop last year because he got hurt after like one game pitching. But we'll have him back at some point this year, so could give us even more depth as far as pitching goes. Normally in the past, you can kind of manipulate what positions people play in spring training to get them time and development at different positions. I'm not really too worried about that. I feel like we have a pretty good handle on all the different positions that we need. We got Colson there, and we got guys that can play shortstop behind him. So I'm not too worried about trying to manipulate that now, which I don't even know really, honestly, if you call that manipulation. I feel like teams would honestly do that in real life. They would try guys at different positions and get experience there, see where they're good at, what positions that they're comfortable at, or what they can start to play. So we have a couple of guys that we just signed. Pitching wise, we got Ryan Jeffers, which is good. So bring those guys up to AAA. Most likely, some of those guys will have to be waived because they've been in the majors for too long. But Ryan Jeffers kind of gives us a nice little option for a catcher. It's really surprising that he was available, um, but we're able to sign him for pretty cheap, so we'll take that. Obviously, it'll be pretty expensive next year when his contract runs out. If he has a good year, really, probably in general, it'll probably be too much, but be a good usage for 1 year. So we'll try to go to the opening day. Ralphie Velasquez, 18 runs batted in the offseason, and Tanner Bybee up in the leaderboard for strikeouts. So good to see that, I suppose. Team should at least reach the playoffs. All right, our top 100 prospects. We don't have anyone there. We have our development budget really high. Hopefully that works. Mike Chernoff apparently is legendary. I'm not really sure why. But looking at our player development lab, our number one prospect is Will Brick at 34th ranked in the majors. So he's kind of chilling there. And then Ricky Lopez, who we just signed as an international player. And then Angel Gano. But we're going to start knocking some guys obviously down. Knocking them at. And the way I always go about this, simply, you have two guys like this. You can demote them pretty quickly. And then we're going to organize our staff. Apparently wants Drew Thorpe up there, which is interesting. But Luis Medina, we need to demote him. How was he for us last year? Not too bad. All right, so Drew Thorpe was really solid last year. Wants him to be a starter though, which is interesting. We still have a lot of pitchers still on our roster. We'll come back. We'll make some more decisions here. So Cooper Engel batted 255 last year. Jeffers batted 243, and Bo batted 251. So really, all those guys batted pretty well. We definitely want to drop Angel Gano down. Christopher Morel, see if it lets us drop us down. It does. We don't need George Valer. Well, let's check to see. Jason Churio, definitely drop him down. And George Valeria, 227 last year, so we can drop him down. Waive him. I don't mind if someone picks him up. And then I guess we can kind of keep 3 catchers there. Let Bo Naylor be the starter and have both those guys kind of bounce around. And Sosa batted 251 last year. He batted 246. So we kind of have a lot of hitters still on our roster. Let me drop Brian Rocchio down so he's out of years. All right, we're going to try to trade Gabriel again. Really would just like prospects. All right, maybe any player. It's kind of a tricky spot because we have a pretty full roster right now. And so we're trying to trim some of the fat from it. So, like, we don't need any of these guys. All right, so I'll go back here. So he's actually ready to come back at some point. All right, we still got a little bit of work to do. All right, we can drop him down. We still got too many pitchers. How was Eric Zabrowski last year? So he's lefty. It's kind of nice to have. I feel like since he just kind of randomly popped out of into existence, I think we can put him in AAA. Let him kind of figure things out. Sean Armstrong. Can we drop him down? Probably not, right? Yeah. Joey Cantillo is a full 3 stars. Tim Herron, how was he last year? All right, so I think we have to waive him. Yeah. And we have Parker Messick as well. So I think we waive him as well. I think that kind of keeps us okay. I think that's good as far as the pitching side of things. We'll see how many more players. So we have to get 2 more players, drop down. We want to keep Angel because he can play every position. Lene Sosa. I think we waive him because we kind of have 2 guys that kind of do the same job. And I think, honestly, we drop Cooper down to AAA just to... He batted well last year. His eye potential is really good. But we have Ryan Jeffers. And so we do that with the intention of being able to move him around at some point and bring him back up if Jeffers or, frankly, even Bo Naylor start to struggle as well. So, review our active roster. We got a couple of those guys to throw in AAA. And we'll look at our AAA team. So Ryan Gusto can't be a reliever. Luis Medina can't do it either. Same with Mitchell Parker. So start to clear out some of these guys that aren't really going to be able to be good relief pitchers. Since we have a bunch of guys that are about to drop into AAA anyway. All right. Change this back to AA. right, so we're going to have to look at ACL's getting a little bloated. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And Jake Berry. And who else? We're bloated here as well. So I'll just go through a page and release these guys. I don't know if it really matters if there's like 50 people on the team. I feel like logically it would be not good to have that many players on a team, just because they just have a bunch of guys that just aren't getting any playing time. So I typically try to keep it under, 35, I guess, generally. All right. So, we're in the 30s there for most of them, so that's fine and dandy. Now we have to find the oddball that is not on our 40-man, Ryan Jeffers. I think everyone else is. Drew Thorpe is not. All right. Ready to rock and roll. So Angel's developing some ability to play center field. All right. Well, we'll see if we can repeat our success from last year. Colson immediately gets suspended. He's fighting already. Parker's out for a week. Do we have someone we can bring up for him? Sean Burke can go into the bullpen. And we'll go back to our pitching stats and our batting stats. See what we can do. All right. Get these guys back in AAA. Get that all there. I feel like we have a pretty good roster again. I feel like our team this year is better than the one that we had last year. I don't know if that will necessarily result in us winning more games, but I feel like it kind of, not necessarily should, but I feel like we should have at least a similar amount of success as we did the previous year. But yeah, it requires really our pitching doing better. Very curious if Bieber survives the whole year. We'll put him on a rehab assignment because he was out forever. 12-7, not a bad start. Chase Stolater is going to be out for 4 weeks. Tore his quad. Unfortunate for that guy. I don't know. I feel like we could bring up Lene Sosa. Then we got to figure out center field, which probably means Angel. It's going to get plopped into there. We can sort by average. Interesting to have CJ Capus leading off, but it's clearly working for him, so no need to really worry about trying to change that. And Where's Jose? Oh, Jose's batting second and third. So kind of interesting they defaulted to that, but is having success. I try not to mess with too much. Just try to do the obvious things like Bazania was batting well and bringing him up, and Angel was just plopped into the lineup, so dropping him down a little bit. Just trying to put guys where if a change needs to be made, just kind of logically where it needs to go. But Colson's kind of struggling, 196 average. Bo's struggling as well a bit, but he does have 5 home runs, so home runs are pretty good for the team. Second in the probably American League. I think that's usually what the rankings go. Acquire power hitter. Looks like we're currently succeeding in 2 of our goals, and kind of if Colson plays a bit better. As I say that, Bazana gets hurt. Really, I mean, Tanner Bivey's struggling a little bit. Do you have anyone that's really not getting many at bats? We kind of have Arias that can kind of play all those other positions. So I think we waive him. Because we also have Brian Ruckia. I forgot that he's on our team as well. And that we can bring Kyle Freeland off his disabled list, or his rehab stint. Number 1 in the power rankings. So yeah, it seems like we have gotten a little bit better, but the season can always go awry. You never know with injuries and whatnot. Daniel Espinoza hurt again. Dude's always getting hurt. Dude is destined to be on the disabled list his whole career. But, I mean, that's pretty realistic. He's been hurt like 3 of his 4 years, I think. I think this year is like the first one since he's been drafted where he's actually been healthy, or at least has the potential to be healthy. But I don't think he'll ever amount to much just because of the injury history. We're gonna put him on a rehab assignment as well. Teams continue to do well, so I tend to be more conservative with injury stuff. If the team's doing well, there's no need to rock the boat if everyone's doing a good job. A little bit slow loading for the All-Star voting that I'm not going to do. But the rest of our division is struggling pretty bad. Because like 30 and 23, I mean, I'll be happy with something like that as far as the start of the season, but I wouldn't necessarily expect to be in first place. So Colson and Bo Naylor are struggling. Bo Naylor with that 183. Ryan Jeffers is struggling even more. So I think we try to do this. So we're going to waive him. We're going to find our boy, Cooper. How's he doing in AAA? He's not doing great. His walks and strikeouts are pretty good, though, at least. So we'll bring him up and let him get some at-bats and see if he starts to do a little bit better. Colson's big struggling. So we have a lot of guys that are kind of struggling quite a bit. Onhill's batting pretty well. So what I kind of want to do is Ralphie batting 257 with 11 home runs. So I kind of want to switch some guys around. So we're going to bring Onhill up and bat him lead off and have CJ Capus there and go about it that way. And then have Manzardo drop. He's batting 322, so we're going to put him 4th. Ralphie there, Manzardo in the 7th hole, and then Colson there, I suppose. But our worst hitters at the bottom of the lineup. I guess the big contract that they gave out for what's his face on the Detroit hasn't worked out unless they didn't try to sign him. Oh, Kyle's falling down, although he's still pitching well, so we'll still give him an opportunity to be here until, or Tarek Scooble, Is he still on the team? Yeah, he's still there. Did he get a new contract? Yeah, that's a pretty big contract, and that's the kind of thing is like we could do that with one person, but if it doesn't work out or if he doesn't perform as well as he possibly could, then it just becomes a disaster. And often, even if they do perform well, for a small market team like us, it actually just becomes a huge detriment as well. All right, we're gonna go ahead and just eat that contract. Bring Chase back. Gabriel Arias, 187. We're just gonna waive him. Nobody ever wants him in a trade now, so I feel like that part is at least pretty realistic. Um, he's batting 270 with just a home run. How is Angel doing? 256, 5 home runs. I feel like we just keep rocking with Angel for a bit, unless the averages start to, unless something starts to weirdly happen. But all right, well he started in the minor leagues. Now he's refusing to go down. We gotta wait longer for Arias. I wouldn't be surprised if someone tried to claim him. Yeah, Kansas City claimed him. He's just not hitting very well for us, unfortunately for him. And Kansas City's what, third in the division? Yeah, so they're 11 games under 500. So he'll probably get some at bats. Or although they have Bobby Witt Jr. still, so I guess he can kind of play a bunch of different positions. So for them, it's I guess the utility is worth it. But Bo Naylor's batting a little bit better. I mean, our whole lineup is hitting home runs, which is nice. We're what, seventh in home runs though, so I suppose we could be doing a bit more. We can look at our pitching as well. So not really the best. Tanner Bybee is struggling a bit. We're gonna drop him down a little bit in the roster. Joey Cantillo's kind of popping off. I feel like maybe we swap that around. See how he does getting some starts. Joey Cantillo might be the way. Or maybe he's just a beastly reliever. Yeah, he got one start. He didn't explode in his first start. Travis Bazzani is still batting 324. He's popping off. Yeah, we just need Colson. I also said, I guess acquire. We didn't really acquire Travis Bazzania. Kind of stinks. Kind of stinks. We kind of need Colson to start doing a little bit more. I mean, I guess I don't really care about his average to get that goal if he just mashes some home runs. We can bring up someone. He's kind of popping off in AAA. Well, still in first place. We're up 5.5 games, so we'd love to see that. In this video, I mean, if we're having success like this, I might just power through and do another season like I did in the first video, and just keep rocking and rolling. If we're gonna have success, I feel like if we're ever having a really terrible season, I might not want to, just because it's not as fun when your team stinks. But yeah, we're having some success, and when I was playing around with the first couple files just to introduce myself to the new game and to see how things looked and felt and whatnot, I didn't really change a lot, but but with the so we're gonna let all of these guys go probably because most of them, we have that going for us. So we'll try to get better coaches, but we'll let all of them go in the off seasons. It's typically what I do, just because it's easier than just firing everyone at once. Shane Bieber is doing well for us. We'd love to see that. Joey Cantillo is doing a little bit worse than he was before, but continue just to roll with him. But when I was playing around with the files in the first couple times, I wasn't messing around with the roster too much. I was kind of just leaving it where it all stood for the most part, and just seeing what the Guardians actually created as their actual lineup, and it's not very good, frankly. So stinks with that. So 306. How is Base running is not good, but everything else is popping off. Strikes out a lot. So we'll bring him up and potentially him. Ooh, he's struggling a bit. I guess we bring Hunter back up. And Chase DeLauder can go back. Just leave him there at the leadoff position. So, I mean, he's at 11 home runs. I feel like if he can get more to... if he can get above 20, I would think it would get close to succeeding that goal, but maybe not. All right, let's see how the first year draft goes this year. We'll go sort by list. Batters. We'll search with everyone. So a lot of pitchers available. Could get someone like Jeff Griffith. Jake Nichols. Let's see who they recommend. Jason Espinoza. Did I not see him up there? Oh, yeah. That's why sometimes it's good to do that. The scouting recommendations. Sometimes my eyes deceive me. Angel Sanchez. I feel like that's just not a trade. We don't, or not a trade, not a player that we necessarily need to draft. I like something like this is risky in a sense, but it's got good power. Also wouldn't mind a starting pitcher, but I think we go with the big bat. Oh, he's impossible. He's impossible. We're drafting him anyway. We'll throw him some money. Then I like that guy in the last round. Keep looking for hitters. Center fielder, can't go wrong with that. And he's still available, so we'll go ahead and grab a pitcher too. We don't care if they're impossible to sign, because we'll just give them all of the money. All right, grab him. Now we're just kind of looking for high value positions. So like a shortstop, a lot of times they can learn a lot of different positions. I think it's pretty realistic to real life. A lot of times your best athlete is playing the middle infield. A right fielder, they're probably going to be able to learn first base. Probably not really going to be that good in center. So you have some differences there. Like third base, they're probably going to learn the outfield. They could probably learn first base. A lot of time, like catchers, they can play catcher obviously, but then also can probably play something like first. But they're not really going to be extremely versatile in the different positions. Second base is similar. Like they'll probably be able to learn the middle infield. Everyone kind of learned first. That's what, unless that's different. But it feels like anyone at any point can just learn to play first base. We'll grab the center fielder here. Center field seems like they can learn all of the corner positions really easy in the outfield, and then maybe some first. But then occasionally you get a guy like the Angel Martinez's that can just play every position everywhere. And all right, we're at 18. Don't really have anyone else that we really care about trying to draft with 2 stars. So we'll let them handle the last 2 picks there, and then see if we actually have enough money to go after these 2 guys. So we have, I believe, 2 guys that they're going to cost a lot of money. 3 guys. Alright, so we do have enough money for that. The rest of the guys, the bonuses aren't too bad. I don't know why the screen's like gray like this. I feel like it just looks incorrect. I don't know what color I would want it to be, but it doesn't look right. Something aesthetically is off with that. So our team's having more success for the most part. I'm going to drop Drew Thorpe down to AAA for a bit. Bring Logan Allen back into the fray. So we're slowly, Tigers are kind of catching up to us, but hopefully we can maintain our lead, have all of the success. Colson's up to 14 home runs. That's pretty good. Average is pretty low. We'll take a look at the super stats and see expected batting average 280. Colson's expecting average is about where it's at now. Cooper is doing about the same as what Ryan Jeffers was doing. George Valerius batting 267 for us, but his expecting batting average is significantly lower than what his average is, and slugging all of that. So that's kind of interesting to see. So it shows us that his average is a little bit fluky right now. But it'll be interesting to see like how that sort of information informs the game. If it's just done backwards, kind of like, you know, the hits and stuff happen and they just kind of backfill that data, or if that data is indicative of what's actually happening. If it's something you can actually draw information from. Byron Buxton. They want way too much. I already don't know. I always like these, like, are they close? Like, no. Plus, Byron Buxton would never actually want to get traded in real life. I'm pretty sure he has a no trade clause. And he said he wants to stay in Minnesota. At least that was last year. Maybe his opinion changed in the game, but all right. Mike Burrows. We'll discuss. We want to keep Joey Oki. Doesn't let us remove him. He's in single A right now. He's only 21 still, though. He's pitching a bit better this year. What's his contract looking like? He only has one contract, so we'd have to re-sign him, and he's not pitching well this year. So I think we don't worry about that trade. Yeah, we don't worry about that one either. It's just I like that player, honestly, because then we can drop Cooper Ingle down, but that much for essentially a backup catcher is too much for me to want to deal with. So we're going to look at free agency too. Sometimes that's good to look at during the year just to see what random prospects have been released throughout the year that you can potentially sign. So like you have random guys like this that you can offer minor league contracts to. Wellington Arcina, maybe that's how you say his name. But we go down and see. Ashton Izzy. Tyson Neighbors. So, and like Fragile. So, just random guys you can throw in your minor league system. Can't hurt. Usually a lot of pitchers with good potentials, a random first baseman here. Sometimes I guess they're guys that maybe go undrafted, but there we go. All right, so we're good there. We're going to offer, go back and forward, get all those dots cleared out, and then maybe see if, so Ryan Jeffers is still there. He doesn't want to play for us, apparently. Vance Grissom is there. He usually had pretty good potential in the previous game. He signed Jake Rogers. Same name as my friend that went to college with. Although my friend that's the Jake Rogers is not very athletic. Much more of a bodybuilder type guy than a coordinated athlete. We'll check our player development to see how our dudes are going. Will Brick. He's up to number 19th. 17th out of 30 for the development, or for the prospects. And we're still kind of holding on 3 games, 4. So it looks like we maybe won a couple games against Detroit. Alnel Martinez is ready to come off the DL. I feel like we just kind of drop him down. We're going to go just to the regular stats. We might actually have too many pitchers up here as well. So we're going to drop Burke down. And then if he clears waivers, I suppose we'll just throw him back on the Major League roster. But we'll do this. On Hill. So pretty similar. Jonathan Rodriguez has 17 home runs. His WAR is -1.5, so I don't know why it's that low. Maybe his defense is really bad or something, but average a lot lower than last year. 80 points lower. The Royals taking more players from us. You know what we're going to do? Pull the Chad move, release him, then maybe try to re-sign him, but we'll see. How are you doing in AAA? 282 average. I feel like we can just throw him up here. Why not? Offer George Valeria. Brandon Lowe's a free agent too? That's kind of crazy. The way I always approach kind of a lot of these files too is like I'm usually just happy to make the playoffs. If you kind of just randomly win a World Series, I feel like if you just consistently make good enough teams, you're just giving yourself obviously a chance every year to potentially win a World Series. But it's a lot of RNG and obviously staying healthy and stuff like that. But if you can just consistently make a good team, then things tend to kind of work out pretty nicely in the long term. I would like to be more than 10 games over 500, but with Detroit kind of falling off, it actually doesn't actually matter. It doesn't look like. I also like how we got George Valeria back. We have scammed the waiver system. And they both kind of stink. Colson's still stuck at 60 home runs. Dude is struggling. Hey, but he's playing. We're sticking with him. If he gets hot at the right time, like he should break 20 home runs, but you kind of wish he would do a little bit more than that. So he's got 16 home runs. We got roster expansion. So I think we experiment. We bring up Rogers here as a catcher, and someone like Drew Thorpe. It says that he's ready to come up. We can see if he truly is, and potentially, see if Jake Rogers is able to take Cooper Ingles' spot. I mean, he's batting 145, so I mean, he's not really doing a lot to hold his position down. So if Jake can, break 200, he might just keep it there, and obviously you can look at other things. But he's 0 for 4. It's your backup position to take, Rogers. We need to have two catchers, but we need to have one that can not bat 145, ideally. So we'll set him there. That could be sometimes that's a bad sign for injuries when it's not immediately diagnosed. So bring him back up. Parker's doing pretty well, getting some starts. Torn hamstring, unfortunate for him. All right. Well, it seems like we kind of have the division locked down for the most part. I don't really care, Jake, to be honest. You're lucky that we gave you a contract at all. You just have to out-hit Cooper Ingle, and then we'll drop him off the playoff roster. Then you get to be the backup catcher. But you're not going to play over Bo Naylor. Sorry. It's not the world we live in, unfortunately, for you. Detroit's making a comeback for the division. It looks like, too, that assuming our average or our record doesn't drop tremendously, we should even be able to make the wild card. But it looks like we're kind of just winning when we need to. 3-game lead. Looks like Detroit's tied for the second. I guess 3 teams are tied for the second wild card spot. Game's kind of frozen right now, though. Which I will say, I've never really experienced a crash or anything with any version of this game I've played. Just in the third version I've had, so that part's always nice. When I do play for a couple hours, sometimes the file starts to slow down or the game starts to slow down. But when I experienced the last one, if it ever started to slow down, if I just exited out of the game and came back in, then it went back to being the same speed as before. I haven't experienced that yet here, but it's usually when you go through a couple of seasons when I would experience that sort of slowing down of things. So we have a 3.5 game lead. So I don't know if that would still happen. That might just be like a my computer thing, or just like the file itself gets too cumbersome for the computer to run after a while. If you just continue to not exit out of the game ever, it just continues to get too bloated for the system to run efficiently, which would be my guess, be a more likely thing, especially because the game runs really fast then once you close out and come back in. So that would be my recommendation if you ever experience slow or lag when you're clicking around. Just exit out all the way and come back in, and then it should just be the same speed as it is normally. If you have kind of a bad computer, I suppose maybe it wouldn't work as well. He's had 240 and 25 at bats. Let's I guess we could look somewhere else at advanced statistics, but we'll keep going till I think we're out at the playoffs. Yeah, we clinched the division. Detroit actually fell all the way out of the playoffs. 85 and 76 is usually pretty close to being able to make it, but not enough for this year. Why? Who was our top pitcher? I'm so confused. He's just not on the playoff roster. He played the whole season, though. He threw 178 innings for us. Why is he... I'm very confused. All right, well, we'll go to playoff roster. I guess because we have too many people on it, but like, how does that even happen? That's just odd. But looking here, look back at our active roster and scroll down to see how Jake did. 214. Cooper ended up 141. So we're going to go ahead and demote him to AAA. We'll bring him up to the playoff roster. Oh, he's just not eligible. That's crazy. So I guess we got to keep Cooper there. Go with the 3-man rotation. Yeah, so weird. Like, why would it take Gavin off our playoff roster? That's so bizarre. We'll do a 3-man for the first round. I'm going to guess that we are probably going to be in the wild card round. Is he at the major league roster? No. Well, 96 and 3 home runs. That's pretty rough. I remember hearing about him when he was a really young prospect. Do we not play in the first round? There's no shot that we don't, right? Oh no, the game's slowing down. It's not responding. All right, we're chilling. Does not like going day to day. Oh wow, we don't actually play in the first round. I can't believe a 90 wins was enough to get a first round bye. All right, so we have the series against Toronto. We're all going to be well rested. Colson did end up with over 20 home runs, which is good to see. And everyone in our starting lineup that had more than 15, which is really cool to see. Which only put us 7th because we didn't have anyone that popped off. But Ralphie Velasquez, he's only 22 and he had 30 home runs, so we'd love to see that. Still got the good old Jose Ramirez. So, you know, a lot of our hitters had down seasons. It seemed like our pitching was a bit better this year. Bullpen was number 1 ERA. Starters 13th, but, you know, pretty relatively balanced team. All right, so it's a tied series, so we're going to go ahead and jump into this game. See if we can catch the dub. What did this say down there? Upgrade a second baseman currently ranked number 5. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so he's popped off. So we're going to get success at that goal, probably in the fan interest one as well. Oh no, oh no. I hit the wrong button. I meant to play the game. Oh, we lost. Oh, they're up 2-1. All right. Well, we have to play this one anyway. It's a 5-game series. I'm thinking it's a wild card. We're hopping in. See if we can do it. I gotta fix the sound. It is so loud. We're gonna put it at all right. That is. We'll leave everything else up. Just the crowd noise being that loud is hurting my ears. I'm kind of good on the play-by-play as well, so we're gonna go. Now the music's too. Yeah, the sounds definitely aren't super balanced. We're gonna go down to 40. All right.
Strike three.
I may not be able to handle the game sound. And we gotta turn the crowd noise just all the way off. I think it's just gonna drive me crazy. Put it at 10. Music. Ambient. Alright. We're chilling. Two outs here. Gives up a single. Works out of the inning. And now it sounds too quiet. I can't find a balance for the sound. Alright, we gotta turn the crowd noise up a little bit. I feel like I spend more time doing this than I'll actually play the game. I'll turn it up to 40. Maybe 50. Alright. And double play.
Out.
Oh, so he gave up a home run? A second one? Gavin, what are we doing?
Strike three.
Oh no, this might be it for us. First round bye gonna get knocked out. We need some runs.
Strike three.
And that's not gonna be it. Down 4-0. I mean, another good season, I suppose, but we're gonna need some offensive magic. We do get a run there. So we're down 3 now. Get a strikeout. Another strikeout.
Strike three.
Golson. He's gonna get a walk here with the bases loaded. Walk to load the bases. Bo Naylor is unfortunately not gonna clutch up. Alright, so he's at 66, so we gotta bring in... I am gonna change that as well, because I think there is that option to... I guess you can't change it during the game. Alright, 6-1. We're cooked. It stinks. It was still a good season to make the playoffs, though, but unless we have some big offensive burst, I don't think much is going to be happening. Oh, that is an RBI single. 6-2. We need a couple more big hits. That's not what we'd call a big hit at all. We got the bases loaded again. One swing away for Bo again. And he's going to clutch up and strike out. Chase the water. Set us a home run today. Oh, I clicked through it too fast, I guess. So unfortunately, we are still down 4. Two more runs. Man, I think it's just over. I don't think we're going to get 7 runs here. Means we're just going to leave Burke in for better or for worse. It kind of stinks that our catching position just performed poorly overall through the year, and really kind of shortstop, honestly, for the most part. Like, it's batting .091 in the playoffs. Just didn't really get any offense. Looks like this can be about it. One more out. And that's it, unfortunately. Make the playoffs again, 2 years in a row. Which, as a Cleveland fan, I'd be happy to be in the playoffs and getting a first round bye. But to get bounced like that, it's always disappointing. And to get slammed like that, too. I would have played the second game as well as I thought it was a 3-game series because I'm thinking we're in the wild card. But ended up not mattering. We lost, 2 straight? But see how Toronto does in the next round. It's like the Reds made it to the playoffs as well, which is interesting. Beat the Pirates of all teams. The Dodgers didn't make it out of the wild card round, so definitely was a winnable World Series, assuming that we were able to get to it. But 'twas not meant to be. Yeah. Diamondbacks and Braves. That's an interesting one. 2 game sevens as well for both both of those series. So Boston goes from sweeping the playoffs and winning the World Series to not even making the playoffs at all in the next year. It's actually kind of wild that they would drop off that hard. Yep, Yankees win. AL East, 2 straight World Series championships. Ironically, it was kind of more of our hitting that was the problem this year, but I think we still have guys that will continue to develop and become better and better hitters. This was his first full season for Travis Bazania, and he was, I think, a top 5 second baseman in the league. Colson Montgomery might not be the answer at shortstop. I think he batted around 200. He did have 21 home runs, so he's someone that could certainly improve the next year, and it wouldn't really be that difficult for him to improve upon what he did this year in his season. So 707 is our score. I also didn't change any of the rule change stuff, so there could be random rule changes as well. So it looks like the active roster is up to 27 now, which it was 26, so just by 1, so not too big of a change. Loyalty increases. So we're going to have Shane Bieber for another year. A 4.18 ERA, not bad. We are most likely not going to pick up his option. That's going to be too expensive. That's a pretty cool text. 79 years since his franchise has won. It's not really a failure because we've had good playoff teams. Reach playoffs, acquire hometown hero. I hate that goal because it's so random. So let's see if we can change that one. So like extend Brian Abreu, that's a pretty easy one. So oh my gosh, they really want us to do that. We do 2 years. How did... Is he like popping off? I don't know. I'm not wasting all their money on one player like that. That's crazy work. Why does he want that much money? That's crazy. All right, we'll look at arbitration. So he is a pending free agent as well. He's making 22 million. 3 years. Well, we're taking off the no trade clause. You don't get a player option, and we want to do 2 years. It's getting more expensive. It's dumb that I'm doing this just to accomplish the goal. Do 30. That's still a ridiculous amount of money to give a relief pitcher, but gets us that goal, I suppose it's okay. Build a top 6 minor league system. We offered Brian Abreu a contract extension. We have some interesting players that are on the waiver wire. He played for 3 different teams last year. Why is Nate George available? It's crazy someone like this would just randomly be on the waiver wire. A 21-year-old prospect. That's just strange. We'll take a look at arbitration. So it doesn't want us to bring back Slade. We're not bringing back Godai Sengai. Yeah, I mean, I guess Slade didn't really do well in the majors the previous year, and didn't do too well in AAA, near 5 ERA. Just as a quick glance at what he did. The rest of our guys are still pretty cheap. Keep guys like Christopher Morel batted pretty well for us down the stretch. I don't know, but in the next video we'll go through the off season. We have to fix our coaching tree, kind of get all those guys cleaned up and brought up. But we just have to keep getting the team better. I mean, that's the only choice, but to try to improve and try to figure out spots that we can get better players at. There's our bullpen and stuff was really good this last year. Starting pitching was okay. Really, probably the biggest need that we have is power. We do have Ralphie, so he has the potential to continue to develop and kind of be that big power bat. Someone like Jonathan Rodriguez, he's 28. His average dropped almost 60 points from the previous year. He hit more home runs, had one more RBI. So his WAR was still negative, though, which is very strange to me that he was still pretty productive hitting-wise, but his WAR was pretty bad. Like, his WAR was the same as Cooper Ingle, who barely played in 32 games. So I don't know why everything about, I guess I was fielding. He's really bad in the field. Negative 20 run value. That's diabolical. So he's someone that right now, before we end this video, we can look to try to trade him because we need someone that better defense out there, because we have guys that can't play the field. We have Kyle Manzardo, and he doesn't really play the field. He plays first a little bit, but we have Ralphie that also can play first. So, like, we kind of have our bad defensive player on our team already that's just a hitter. Will Bush is interesting, a 23-year-old catching prospect that could be ready to compete with Cooper for that major league spot. Matthew McConaughey. Mason McConaughey. look at the prospect package, see if there's anything crazy that comes off there. Because, like, obviously he's a good hitter, but if his WAR is that low because his defense is that terrible, we kind of need him to be a DH, but we kind of have that spot filled. So can't all just be mashing the ball. I mean, that's where he has to have that high average as well to make it worth it for him to um, not do anything in the field. So kind of have to improve. We have to improve there. Where's that? I mean, can we get both of those catchers? We'll see. So he's at the major league level, so we'll look at their active roster. We'll throw Walker on there. So they'll just straight up give us 2 catchers for Jonathan Rodriguez. A strategy also is something I used in the previous game, and we'll probably work on this one as well, is just trying to get a lot of money. We're trying to get lots of tenders. So our budget is currently $0. Actually a negative $9 million, even better than that. So 226, 14 home runs, kind of pretty okay for his first year of professional ball. Won a little bit too much, but the reason we throw him on there is we can try to get some cash from them. What's nice about having the cash is we can actually run a team. So we can look to see if there's anyone else that is expendable. 24-year-old pitcher in high A, pitched well in high A, but also have Yoeli Garcia, so he pitched a little bit better than him. So I think we go throw him that for $50 million. I think we definitely accept that. So what does that turn out to make our lineup look like? I guess I just was in denial for most of the year because I did notice that at some point earlier that his WAR was negative. I didn't realize his defense was quite that bad, to the point where it negated all of the positives of his hitting. But we got Chase DeLauder that's going to hold down center field. Angel Martinez, that might be, I mean, his WAR is 0.7, so he had a better, he was more valuable than Jonathan Rodriguez, even with his home runs. And, he could play more games as well. Ralphie stayed healthy the whole year, which we love to see. So let's also go and check one last thing. The decision history. So Stephen Kwan, he actually made it up to the major league level. So good for that man, because he was probably not going to make it up with us, but had 12 home runs at 251 average. So, didn't really work out too well for us, but it was also kind of, we're not going to throw him on our 40-man when he wasn't going to make the roster anyway. Stephen Kwan played for the White Sox, but they I don't even think they made the playoffs. Played most of the season, 289 average, so pretty good. How much WAR this? Had 3.3 WAR, so more than he did with us in the previous season. Really, in all of his seasons besides his first one with Cleveland, which is kind of interesting. But a lot of our trades, I guess, have worked out pretty well. Brian Abreu, unfortunately, we had to offer his contract just to accomplish that owner goal, which I really didn't want to do. But, it is what it is. And, a lot of those little trades have worked out pretty decent, I suppose. Like Ada Major. So, I don't know. I guess, Andy Ibanez, he's not even on a major league team anymore. So he played 50 games for the Mets. So, I mean, we got pretty good value for that. So, like, trades like that, we're not going to obviously keep a guy like that on our roster and overpay him forever, but it kind of worked out. And then Pedro, I think he actually played on our roster for a little bit. No, he was just a different random catcher. I think we had a different Pedro that played on the Major League roster when we were desperate in our first season. So he's still chilling. So really not too much in the trade regard, I suppose. But that's going to be it for this one. So in the next video, we'll go through the offseason again and just continue to, work through it. See if we can make our team a little bit more successful every year. Um, First season that we had, 91 and 71, almost an identical record. As I kind of noticed, our batting average dropped a lot. Our ERA dropped a lot, but we scored less runs and gave up less runs. So, similar season. We improved the pitching, but our hitting got worse. But I feel like our hitting is in a better spot than. I mean, our pitching obviously got better, and I feel like it's not in a bad spot. But I feel like as our hitters develop, that will kind of fix itself. At least that's kind of the hope. But that's gonna be it for this one. I really appreciate the support in the last couple videos. It's really motivated me to kind of get back into posting on this channel. So I'll continue to do that, and yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.